G'day from WA. Hi, this is Julie from All About Junk Journals, and I want to know if you have the same problem I have. Do you have so many tags you don't know what to do with them? I don't know. I just seem to have lots of tags and journal cards and altered playing cards and all sorts of things like that because I really love making tags. I love doing the challenges. It's just a nice easy project, isn't it, to make tags? But I can't make journals fast enough to use up my tags. What to do with them? One would be, make journals and keep filling up your journals. However, what happens is I see a YouTube video, make a tag with a certain style. I want to do that, I want to have a go. Or I watch someone doing some collaging and I end up doing some collaging. And then when we use our collages, what do we end up with? More tags. You end up with a whole pile of tags that is kind of an eclectic mix, maybe all slightly vintage style, but they don't all go in one journal because they don't really match. I'm not talking about if you make tags specifically for a journal and then that gets given away or sold or used or whatever. I'm talking about all the other ones that we end up with. So what's the solution? These normally live in a tin and they're just all piled in there, and it seems such a shame because they're hard to look at. You've got to get the tin out, pile them all out, flick through them. Well, what's always the best solution for everything? Well, I'm reading Harry Potter at the moment. According to the Harry Potter books, chocolate is the solution if things are not going to plan. How is chocolate going to fix our problem? Maybe the answer could be cupcakes. Yum. You're going to get hungry watching this video. These are two examples of books that I'm going to show you that can be altered, and the reasons why I've chosen these books. It's not because it's chocolate and cupcakes, although that would be lovely also, wouldn't it? No, then that's not the reason. They just happen to be the right design of book. And I'm going to show you why with the ones that I've already started. So what it was this past book, and it's like a teenage girl's book. I'm going to decorate the front, but I decided to do that last, and then I'm going to create a tie to hold them all in. But this is how it's looking so far with the tags. I like to have the tags sticking out so it helps to reduce the bulk that's inside the journal or the book. So what you want to look for is a book that opens up flat so that it doesn't immediately flick back while you're working in the book. That's how I like an art kind of journal to be. The other thing that you're looking for with this is a bound book. This book has been bound, not glued, so I can take out a few pages from the center of each signature to reduce the bulk of the pages and give me space to put the tags into the book. That's the kind of book that you're looking for, one that's the good size for your tags, one that's going to sit nicely on your shelf and not take up too much room. So this is currently housing 26 tags. That's as far as I've got with making this book. So it's not too bad. I'm not too sure how many it's going to be able to hold, possibly 40 to 50. I have 40 tags currently in my tin, so therefore I would be happy if I could get the 40 tags in this book. I thought I would do a flip through and show you the pages that I've done so far to give you an idea of what it is that I've been talking about. I want to practice art journaling, mixed media. This way you don't have to think about a focal point. Tags are going to be your focal point, so you can just collage or do mixed media and then attach your tags either by belly bands or whatever method you might come up with. With this page I had previously collaged and practiced with some stenciled and inked, and so what I did was I just added the tags and the belly bands and used similar sort of theme. These tags for Rachel's weekly challenge, Roxy's weekly challenge, using vellum and book pages, and then I didn't have a journal to put them in. So this is why I like the idea of being able to join in with the challenges, make tags, choose a new theme, and maybe you haven't got a journal for them. Maybe later on I think, well, I'd like to make a journal in this style. I'll have some ideas of how I want them to look. This one I had used napkin on these tags here, and then I had used Tim Holtz die cuts. I then had just recently got my embossing heat tool and was practicing using the embossing. They turned out quite nice. I was quite happy with them. Keeping them in here reminds me of the style and the idea. And then what I did was I used a spare piece of the napkin and glued that down onto that page. It already had a background, some sort of a coloured background, so that's why the napkin has come out a bit darker. I added some embossed butterflies that I'd been playing around with. I really love this cute little mouth. All I did was stamp these, add some watercolour, emboss them and cut them out. Basically just use your stash, put things in here that you have lots of and you want to remember to use them. This is a napkin on the back of these tags, and I really liked these particular tags when they turned out so bright and bold. These are just cutouts from a book. When I was decorating this page, I found these little flowers and basically added them to the tag to sort of match the flowers on the tag. So now I remember that I have those little flower bases which I had forgotten all about. And it's not going to be going into anything that's going to be sold. It's just basically a reference for me and some fun. And this was already collaged in pink on this side, but I basically ended up covering up most of what I had done. This side was collaged with just a piece of paper, and it bubbled up and wasn't very good last year, and it just wrinkles the pages, and it's just not very nice at all. So I don't like using the very wet glues. And then we're up to the page that I did that I have already done, but I'm going to show you how I did this page, because I did record all of them, but the others were fairly basic. Stay tuned, and hopefully we won't have the helicopter. So we're going to do the green one here, and I'm going to use what's left of this gel matte medium. I do have some more. This is the Liquitex gel matte medium, so I'm going through it at a fast rate in this book, I have to say. It would be wonderful if I could find a cheaper option for the gel matte medium. I'm not keen on using the white glue. I don't want it to warp and buckle and damage the book, so I'm actually going to stick with the gel matte medium. I'm going to gesso it first over that beautiful washi tape that's now wasted. Just about dry. I mean, it's touch dry, which should be enough, I'm hoping, to continue. Now I have this piece of paper which I want to put down first. It's from a Daphne's Diary. It's not the matte paper. I used it in a project. This was left over, so I just thought it might look decorative on the bottom of the page. Alright, so we can just paste this one down then. That makes that easy. Running out of this medium. Luckily I've got another. It isn't cheap, but it has lasted a while, and I just like it. I wish I had found something that was the same but cheaper. I would love it. This is a really old, it's an English Shelley's Directory from 1974. Really thick book, full of really thin old paper, and some of the paper, one section of it's green, which would be like our yellow pages, and the other section is like this. This is too dark for today's collaging. I got it out just in case, but it's a massive book. I had to pay $20 for it in an antique shop, but I thought it was worth it. So I'm going to use these thicker ones on the faces, so I don't really want their faces to come through. Collaging always looks really weird, doesn't it, while you're doing it? And you think, how is this ever going to look anything? It doesn't sort of really. You just keep going until it does. I just don't like to have too many pieces meeting in the same point. So if they do, I will usually put something over the top of those areas, only because I just think aesthetically they don't look as good when you get 5 pieces in the one spot. Do you like collaging? I like collaging. It's just, yeah, just stick stuff down and don't worry about it. It's scraps anyway. It's in an old book, and it's going to be covered by the tags. And once I get them on the page, I find, you know, other little bits of decorations that I want on them, and I pretty them up. What else could I use? I could use watercolour pencils. That doesn't use too much water. Add some colours, or I can stencil. That's just one piece on its own, so it's going to go in the middle. Get rid of that one white pad. This is, you know, kind of like the basis of an art journal or a glue book, and then stick some belly bands on it and call it a tag book, but you get to collage and play in it. I'm enjoying it. I'm finding it much more freer and easier than working in a junk journal, to be honest, because I don't feel the pressure of I've got to make this junk journal as beautiful and as perfect as everybody else's. And I think that's what's holding me back, is the fact that I just feel like I'm not going to do it as good as I'd like. Whereas with this, it doesn't matter. I just stick stuff down, and see, this is what I don't like, is when you get this mishmash of things happening. So I'll just put something over the top, and that just takes away the busyness of it and the messiness of it, and just cover it up. Alright, so we've got some little gaps and little spaces, and I'm running out of the greens that I like. Since I've been crafting and organised this spare room to have all my craft stuff in it, cleared out all of the junk that was in this room and turned it into a craft room, put a nice comfy chair, TV, a couple of desks, filled it with stuff I bought from op shops. Literally filled it. I can't actually buy any more because I have actually nowhere to put it. Behind me I've got old bookshelves, which are like, you know, 4 foot wide and 6 foot high. I had them for a long time and they are completely full now, full to the brim. I have stuff on top of the bookshelf and it was starting to feel like the whole thing might just topple over, which it wouldn't, but it was starting to feel very claustrophobic, I have to say. I had a bit of a clean out and got rid of a bunch of books that I had bought in the early days of junk journaling when I first came across the idea, and had them on my shelf and they were just taking up space, and I knew I was never going to cut them up. I do struggle with beautiful books. Oh, I struggle terribly. I've got quite a lot of books that will probably never get cut up. I love them too much. They'll probably stay in my good bookshelf. That's okay. So anyway, so I went through these 2 bookshelves behind me and sorted out a whole pile of books and the spare books that are in the other room, that's the other problem. I've got things that are overflowing into the other rooms. It just was starting to feel overwhelming, and I always think about Barbara. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. When I first started watching YouTubes and junk journalings, and I found Barbara, and she would get her stuff from her stash. In those days I didn't have a, you know, when I first started I didn't have a stash, and she would talk about her stash, and she would talk about not wanting to have too much because she gets overwhelmed and she doesn't want any more of this or any more of that, and I'm thinking, what? So I'll have it. Yeah, because I had nothing. I literally didn't have anything to junk journal with because, strangely, I had just done a big clear out. I had had my front lounge painted, and I decided to, so I went through the house and decluttered, got rid of stuff, sent a lot of stuff to all the charity shops and cleared my house out and emptied my house, you know, decluttered and minimalised everything. Then I found junk journaling and filled it back up again. It was really quite funny. Yeah, the house was empty or not empty, but, you know, tidy and decluttered and minimalised. I don't know how long for. I think it might have been like a fortnight. But the weird thing was that then I had to go back to all the charity shops and buy stuff back, which I'm sure I gave away. I gave away all my old books that I didn't think I'd ever read again and didn't think I ever had a use for, and thought, no, I don't need these books. Out they go. Now I go to the charity shops and buy old books. Oh my goodness, if only I'd known. But it doesn't matter. I'm sure the books that I gave away would probably not have been any use for junk journaling. I can't remember what I gave away. I've got no idea. So they're gone. But it was just funny that I decluttered and then cluttered it back up again. I was really starting to understand Barbara when she was saying she was overwhelmed, because sometimes I do feel that way. I feel like I've got so much stuff, I don't know what to use, you know, and then I end up with 10 different things that I could potentially use for a project, or 10 different pages, or 10 different decoration items. And I realised that I had collected so much stuff from op shops that never in my lifetime would I be able to make enough journals to use everything up. If I have this much stuff in, it's less than 12 months since I found junk journaling, and I have filled up this room, maybe half filled the spare room. Just need a little bit more green. I can't believe there's, oh look, there's all that green. That's a great big piece of green. I obviously didn't want to use the large piece. I wonder if there's any more little pieces of this different greenery that I've used. This is my slightly bigger scrap pieces that don't fit in. Okay, that was a slight you're lucky that I can edit videos, because I literally screamed because I picked up the box of papers, you know, creepy crawly, landed on the table and walked across the so I didn't get glued to the thing. So yeah, that was not pleasant. Oh, it just tickled my toe. Makes me think it's the bug. Oh dear. That's basically covered. What I want to do is to fade back the background, and the easiest way to do that is to use gesso. I'm just mixing a bit of white gesso in the lid. So the idea is just to add a bit of water, and if you have too much gesso, then have a wet, let's get a wet wipe handy. I just want to do a light coating, and it will look like a heavier coating at first, but it usually dries a lot lighter once you've like paler once you've, and if you don't, if it's too much while it's still wet, just go over it with a wet wipe. Take back some of the color. Then I'll just use the wet wipe and bring back the green that I want. So this is just so that the background stands, the tags stand out better, have a chance to be seen. So yeah, basically we've gessoed it, collaged it, gessoed it. Seems a bit crazy, doesn't it? And now we get our wet wipe. Basically I'm just going to take the white off in places to bring some of the colour back, but it won't look so much like a patchwork quilt. And then what we can do is stencil on that. You see, the stencil will be heaps better on when you've already taken back the strength of the collaging. So a little bit patchy in places. It looks worse on the screen, so I'm just going to add a bit more to some of the darker ones. Put it on, take it off. But you know, this is what's fun. Play with it. It's funny how I actually find it easier to see what it looks like in the camera hooked up, transmitting to that TV, and I can look at the work on the screen. It's amazing how different it looks. And we'll need to dry this, so let's pause. I just wanted to have a look and see how it's going. So you can see just by doing that gessoing, the tags now stand out, but they still blend into the background. It's not finished. I just wanted to see how they were looking. I need to introduce the vintage look, but I don't want it to be, you know how those earlier ones were very brown? This one here, I don't know, they just got a bit too brown by the time I put the tags in. So yeah, I like vintage, but I don't like too much vintage. That means I want to have the vintage edging for sure, but I think I'd like to highlight some of this dark green around the edge. So my options are watercolor paint, acrylic paint, those sprays, watercolor pencils. Let's see if we can just do it with watercolor paints. Cleaned off the paint palette. First time I've had a clean paint palette in a very long time. All right, let's get some green happening. So this one's, you know, like olive, well, it's called olive green, which, you know, if you sort of hold a tag to that, it does seem to relate to that. So I'm getting some olive green. I also want some lighter green. This one's like a spring green. And what I'll do is I want to make it kind of a border, and then we're going to do some stenciling. Oh, okay, that'll be interesting because it's got the gel medium on it. Okay. Interesting. I'm just basically putting it around the edge, making a border. Eventually we're going to end up with a slightly darker border. While I come along here, I might add a little bit of blue. Which blue? This one here, I think. Just want to make the green a little bit more bluey. Yep, like that. A little more green. Okay, as we come into here, see how that blends in with that bit of Daphne's Diary. And then we'll spray it because it will. So we're getting a little bit darker green. Doesn't have to be the same colour all the way around. And the thing is, you don't have to be an artist. You can just splosh paint around. Mixed media and, you know, watercolour, natural, well, we might call traditional watercolour, is so much harder because it'll look a mess very quickly. And some darkers. And I might like, yeah, a little bit more of the blue in places. To the corners. So we've created a bit of a border. So that one looks a bit stronger than the rest. Okay, so I'm back. The phone suddenly decided to do some strange things, so we took a little break, let the page dry, had some dinner. We can just wet it. We can just reactivate the paint because it's on gel medium, but I'm just going to just touch up here and there, and then I'm going to add a little bit of darker color. So I'm going to use that same blue. I'm going to put black next door because I don't like to I don't want it too dark. I still want it to look a bit bluish. I just want to have a bit of a dark edge. And then if it's too much, we can take it off. Oops, out of camera again. So just going around the edge again. Basically, we're practicing doing art journaling, treating this page as if we were going to be creating an artistic page. There's no pressure because we know that we're just going to stick some tags on it. I'm actually feeling so free and just having fun because there's no pressure on me, because the work's done in the tags. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to sort of match in a little bit with that little bit of decoration that we added from the magazine page, and that was really just purely an absolute offcut. I had used it in I'd used the rest of that page in a spread in my other altered book. So do I like that? It's okay. Maybe I want to blend it into we just bring in some water and just touch the edges to bring it down in a little bit. So the edge just sort of blends in. I'll just take away the excess water so it dries a bit faster. Okay, I'm just going to give that a bit of a dry, so I'll put you on pause. Okay, that's dried enough that we can at least have a look at it and see where we're going with this. That's why I wanted to finish this first before I put the extra ribbon in, because I think I might like a dark green to sort of tone in with the edges. Perfect bow, just upside down. That's, oh, here it is, the roll of washi tapes on this one, on this one. So if we have it on this side, that will balance it up a little bit. We'll probably need to fussy cut, so we'll just say that that's going to go there, butterfly. Or we might end up with a butterfly on this flower, and then just something here. On these kinds of pages, I really like the vellum type stickers. So I know I've got some floral vellums in here. I've got the square ones. Oh yes, so I used the mushroom up here, so we could use, so there's that one. That one might be coloured, do we think? No. Greeny orange one. Well, they're definitely possibilities. Play with those. These ones are mostly the yellows. There's some yellow in there, so it could go that way. Don't mind that actually. Do we want, what we might do is vintage up the paper a little bit. Let's do that first. Either use the ink that I've been using, this gold ink which I use on almost everything, or this new metallic wax, beeswax, which smells like shoe polish. Or we can use one of the new inks. So there's this one, got trusty vintage photo, pale brown. I haven't used that one very much. Bisque. Let's test out the colours. The gold doesn't look anything when you put it on white paper, but it just seems to look nice on the edge. So let's start with the Bisque. Let's just do a little bit on a tag to start with. Let's just give them a little bit of uniformity so that they look like they're part of a set, even though they were made at, those ones are made at the same time and these were made at a different time. So let's do a little bit of Bisque in the background to see where that's sort of getting us. Anywhere where it seems a bit too white. Just a bit of a natural age to the paper. See, we've got that colour there which I didn't like. Okay, so with the Bisque. Now, just got to be a little bit careful with the scattered straw. That's what that was Bisque. This one's scattered straw, but we're going to try this. So, oh, okay. Ooh. Okay, yeah, instant vintage. Okay. You wouldn't think that Power Yellow would be so vintage looking, but it is. But I don't want to do it everywhere because I don't want the whole thing to turn yellow. Hard to know when to stop. It's just so much fun. Okay, and maybe something up here, and these will blend into the background quite well, and then we could do a little bit of inking. We didn't do any stenciling. These patterns, we've used that before. Got the butterfly, the dragonfly, got some of that. Oh, how about some numbers in gold? I need to find a different ring for it, but gold numbers in the background, I do fancy that. So that's going to go here. Yeah, and see it disappears into the page. I love these transfers for this situation. Sometimes you can see this one, because this one's different. That one's Your Creative Studio. This one's from AliExpress. Seems to be a bit thicker. A wiggly edge than a straight edge. I might cut it off with if my wiggly scissors will meld into the background. Oh, that'll, yeah, so just there like that. Okay, oops, another one bites the dust. Now I've got 3 little ones, and 2 of them are now on the floor. So now we're going to do a little bit of stenciling. Where'd the stencil? Oh, that one on the floor too. Sorry, excuse me. One bone folder. Right, let's do some of this gold lettering. Let's see how that looks. I don't think I've used this stencil on a project yet. It's sort of newish. All right, let's have a look. Let's go off the page a bit here. I mean, a lot of it won't get seen. Let's put some in this space that we know is a space. Where did I get this stencil from? This is Witchcraft Do You Do. They sell awesome range of stencils. Almost all of those were Witchcraft Do You Do in this little tag shape, which is so cute and so easy and so cheap. So, love those. They also do big ones, so bigger butterflies. Oh, we could do some butterflies, feathers, the rose. Yeah. So you can see them more in certain light. Let's try some down here. So the gold butterfly flying off the edge of the page. And just randomly do some numbers because they're nice and pale, so they're not like overtaking the page. Try not to get to the edge because otherwise you get the lines of the tag, which I got on a previous page. It's just fun. I mean, I know not everybody has all these stencils and things, and I didn't have them until a few weeks ago either. But as I say, Witchcraft Do You Do does sell quite reasonably priced product, especially if you're in Australia and your postage is not too bad. Of course, if you spend enough, you'd get free postage. But yes, check them out. They do. I'm not an affiliate or anything. So let's have a look in the light and see. I'll hold it up. It's quite subtle. The gold. Let's see if we can. And then some butterflies at the top. So the center again is always my issue because we end up with this sort of blank section. So do we put some yellow washi tape to cut around it a little bit just so it doesn't have that square line. A little bit of the green butterfly, I quite like that. Going on the here, we'll just see if we can get the butterfly landing on the flower. I don't think I want a darker edge, so I'm going to go with the gold edge. Wax. Can never go wrong with this. It doesn't matter where you put it, you can just put it everywhere. And it works. Look, it does shine. It's not like a bright gold. Don't want a lot, just a bit here and there. Just to give it some twinkles when you're looking at the page. But now it looks it looks quite good. Put some edging on it to highlight it. Cool. I don't mind that look. Happy accident. I don't get many happy accidents, but that one's one. I'm not going to put it down the centre. I don't really want to delineate it. It's really hard to see. Alright, so that's the basic page, which, you know, if you were doing as an art journal page on its own, you'd be like, oh, that's a bit strange. But it's a tag page, a home for tags, and they become the focal images. So your composition really is only where do you place your tags. Now the only problem is we're going to be left with the belly band issue, which would be really nice if we could attach these without belly bands. I would really love it if we could just have that as it is. These are the possibilities. I've got book page. They're already edged, so we don't have to sit and watch me do that. and some green ones. So we'll do this one with text. Quite like the text at the moment. I think the text definitely blends in better, blends in, or looks like it's meant to be there. But I just don't like those, you know, those long lines, unless we end up with a decoration. So let's make that decision. If anyone has any other ideas apart from these belly band ideas that I've come up with, if anyone has another suggestion as to how to hold the tags in place. I thought about double-sided tape, mounting pads, Velcro, the blue tag, which is just I even thought about using glue stick, which doesn't work very well, so it doesn't really hold it permanently. So it's sort of like a temporary hold, but no. And of course I thought about I tried the acetate, but I really did not like the acetate. I wanted it to look more like an art journal page, or a bit like an art journal page. I didn't want it to look like a ephemera folder, if you see what I mean. Just that little tiny spot. I had to go, I can't remember why, it's a while ago. I did a few things to finish off. So if you're doing an art journal page, it's you know, we usually have little quotes and things, and I haven't done that on the other pages, but most of the other tags actually have words on them. Rather than go through and put words on all of these, I just thought, well, there's a lot of butterflies. So I'm going to put some of these gold stickles in the center. That'll do. I'll just leave those for now and see if I like them in the morning. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.